There are 7 subtle mindset shifts that quietly separate men who build real power and wealth from those who stay stuck, grinding their whole lives. And I'm not saying this to hype you up. I'm saying it because I've seen it play out again and again. If you don't just understand these shifts intellectually, but actually live them, they will change the direction of your life. But I'll be honest with you up front. If you're not already operating at a high level, some of this might irritate you. That's not a problem. That's the signal. A while back, I heard a simple rule about mastering anything. If someone is doing what you want to do, don't copy their surface behavior. Copy 3 things. First, their beliefs, what they assume is possible. Second, their mental order, how they sequence decisions in their mind. And third, their posture, the way they carry themselves under pressure. This video is about the first layer, belief. Because if your beliefs are off, your actions won't matter. And let's be real, if these ideas already fully made sense to you, your results would already reflect that. Growth doesn't come from agreement. Growth comes from friction. Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago. If he walked into a modern co-working space today, he saw a room full of men staring at laptops, grinding 1-2-hour days, posting motivational quotes between Zoom calls. He wouldn't be confused. He'd be amused. Because he'd instantly recognize something most people refuse to see. They're moving without direction, busy without strategy, exhausted without progress. He saw the same thing in Florence. Men mistaking activity for advancement. The century changed. The mistake didn't. So, if something here challenges you, that's where the work starts. Machiavelli once said, "Men rarely change unless discomfort forces them to, because habit feels safer than truth." But comfort doesn't protect you. It just makes the decline feel smooth. The change starts with how you view yourself. Shift 1. The inversion of identity. This one completely changed how I see life, money, and power. You've probably heard it before. That's the danger. People hear it, repeat it, but never actually change their behavior. The idea is simple. Be, do, have. Most people live it backwards. They think if they have something, then they can do something, and then finally, they'll be someone. But it doesn't work like that. Here's the reality. You cannot do your way into becoming someone you are not. And you cannot have what your identity cannot sustain. Machiavelli saw this clearly. Men tried to take power before becoming the kind of man who could hold it. And it always ended the same way: collapse, betrayal, or loss. Everything in life operates within constraints. Time is a constraint. Energy is a constraint. Space is a constraint. Anything worth becoming takes time. Anything worth building needs space. Anything worth maintaining requires effort. But most men try to rush the process, while refusing to change themselves inside the process. That's the mistake. The people at the top understand something early. Creation comes before possession. Identity comes before reward. Power follows alignment, not urgency. If you feel empty, restless, or stuck, it's usually not because you lack opportunity. It's because you're not creating anything that reflects who you could become. And the moment you decide to build something real, resistance shows up. Problems multiply, friction increases, obstacles appear. That's not a sign you're doing something wrong. That's proof you've stepped into reality. Because everything tends toward chaos. If you leave something alone, it decays. Order requires effort, intention, consistency. Machiavelli said fortune favors the bold. But people always leave out the second part. Only the disciplined survive what comes after. This is where most men quit. They try something for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and when results don't show up, they assume it's not working. What they don't understand is this. In the early stages of anything meaningful, results are invisible. Feedback is delayed. Recognition comes last. I know this because I lived it. There was a period, almost 2 years, where I was building something I believed in, and the world gave me nothing back. No money, no validation, no recognition, just silence. And every morning, I had to make a decision. Do I keep going based on who I'm becoming? Or do I stop because there's no evidence yet? That gap between identity and results is where most people break. Not because they lack talent, but because they don't have patience with themselves. And here's something most people get wrong. When you see someone successful, you assume their money reflects what they're doing right now. It doesn't. Wealth is usually delayed compensation. It's payment for years, sometimes decades of work that didn't pay anything except growth. This is where entitlement quietly kills ambition. People want results early without becoming the person required to sustain them. The men who rise value time more than money. The men who stay stuck obsess over money and waste time without realizing it. That single inversion explains more than talent ever will. Short-term thinking clings to cash. Strategic thinking protects time. And once you really understand this, everything starts to shift. Because after identity comes a harder question. If effort alone isn't enough, then what actually creates results? Before we go deeper, I want you to pause and think about something. Not just hear it, actually sit with it. Ask yourself, what identity have I been performing? And what identity have I been avoiding? There's a gap between those two. And that gap is running your life, whether you admit it or not. If you can name it clearly, you can start changing it. And if this kind of thinking feels different, if it's not just motivation, but something sharper, something uncomfortable, then you already know. This isn't about feeling good. This is about seeing clearly. Because in the next part, we're going to break down something even more uncomfortable. Why the hardest workers often earn the least, and why value not effort is the real currency. Shift 2. The value ladder. Once you understand that identity comes first, the next realization hits even harder. And if you've spent your life working hard, this one can feel almost offensive. Effort alone does not determine outcomes. Value does. And value exists in levels. This is where a lot of men lose years, sometimes decades, without even realizing why. Because not all value is created equal. There are different layers to how humans create value, and each layer is rewarded differently. At the lowest level, you have execution. This is where you trade your time, your energy, your physical effort to get a task done. You show up, you work, you repeat. It's honest work. It's necessary work. Society depends on it. But it has a ceiling. No matter how hard you push your body, there are only so many hours in a day, and eventually, your energy runs out. Think about the guy pouring concrete at 6 a.m. Nobody works harder than him, but his income is tied directly to one thing, whether he shows up. If he stops working, the money stops. That's execution. It's respectable, but it's capped. Above that is coordination. This is where you stop doing everything yourself and start organizing people, systems, and processes. Managers operate here. Team leaders operate here. And here's where people start getting uncomfortable. The person coordinating often earns more than the person doing the physical work. Even if the physical work feels harder, that's not unfair. That's leverage. Machiavelli understood this clearly. Power doesn't belong to the strongest. It belongs to the one who directs strength. And I'll be honest, this was hard for me to accept, because I was that guy. Working harder than my manager, earning less. And I told myself the same story most people do. This isn't fair. And it felt true. But it wasn't complete. What I didn't understand was this. I was being paid for output.